In this episode, I'm going to show you the devastating effects using non-archival material has on your precious photos. So stay tuned. Greetings all, my name is Brian Knight and I'm a fine art photographer located in beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. For a complete list of material that I'm going to use in this video today, click here. Also, click here to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Today, I'm going to discuss the proper way to mount and frame your photograph using archival materials and methods. I'm also going to show you the devastating effects using non-archival material has on your precious photographs. So let's get started. Recently, I had a client bring in this photograph, and looking at the photograph, you can tell that they use non-archival material. There's terrible yellowing in the core of the core of the mat, and it's leaching out onto the photograph, and there you can see terribly in the corner there. And this is caused by the acids in the mat leaching out onto the photograph. This is either caused by heat, humidity, ozone. Mostly it's because it was they used non-archival material and it's not pH balanced, and over the years it's slowly, the pH, the acid levels have changed, and it's slowly starting to deteriorate and destroy the print. Now the client told me that this print was taken about 20 years ago. So this is a print of Peony Park, a pretty famous landmark here in Omaha, Nebraska, and I know it was torn down in '96. So that would put it roughly 19 years, so that would probably be correct. So what's interesting is it took, you know, probably 15 or 16 years for this photograph to start to show the devastating effects one has on not using archival material. And you'd never know this until 10, 15 years later that whoever matted it for them didn't use the right material. So in looking at the photograph, I can already see a couple problems. I can see here that the glass doesn't go all the way up underneath the frame. I see it terrible across the top here. I also noticed they used a cardboard piece of cardboard, corrugated cardboard, as a backing board. So those are already problems that I can see. So let's go ahead and take this photograph. I'll show you how to take the frame apart, and let's take the photograph out and see what the real problem is. So this is a Neilson frame. They're probably one of the best metal frames out there. They're not terribly expensive, but they're leaps and bounds above what you can buy at the local craft store for you know, not much less than what you can buy a good Neilson frame for. And again, I'll have some information on this located in the description below. So what's holding the picture in is metal spring clips, and you want to be careful when taking these out because you don't want to damage the backing. If this were a picture that you were going to reuse the backing on, you don't really want to destroy it. So you just gently work the clips out, and in the clips there's little tiny slits, and that'll allow you to get a screwdriver in there and work it out. And usually I just take and put pressure down on the spring clamp and stick the screwdriver in there, and it just pops right out. And there you see, just from pushing it out, the glass just fell out of the front of the frame. So that could be a big problem, but more chances than not they didn't use archival material. So let's go ahead and take this apart. All you'll need to do is just unscrew the screws that hold the tab in. You only need to undo 2 and just gently slide the top off the frame. All right, so as you can see, the glass certainly does not cover the entire print. So, and it's not UV glass, so you're probably going to get a little bit of fading just from that, assuming, you know, this was hung in a room without direct sunlight. If this was hung in direct sunlight, this picture probably would have been faded quite a bit more than what it is now. So let's go ahead and get the glass off of here. And let's take the backing board off and let's see what we got. And I can already see here that they used AGT tape to hold the backing on. Yeah. Well, this is interesting. Obviously, this picture was mounted on foam core, dry mounted on foam core, and it's not the full size of the 11 by 14. So this was obviously an 8 by 10 print mounted on a piece of foam core, and they wanted to put it into a bigger size. And I can see that they used AGT tape around the inner border of the mat and stuck the print to the mat. And this is so the wrong way to do this. First of all, this AGT tape is not archival. You can tell because it's starting to yellow. They sell two brands of AGT tape. It's either going to be acid-free or non-acid-free. And even the acid-free archival tape, I would never put in direct contact with a print. And I can see all around the border, it looks almost like there's something leaching out onto the print itself. And I don't know if that can be seen in this at all. But you can see a little shiny area right in the corner there of where this stuff is leaching out. And this is the direct cause of why this print has been destroyed. There's another issue here, and what it is dry mounting photographs, especially precious photographs that are priceless, family heirlooms, pictures like this where you may not be able to get another picture. In order for this to be truly archival means that you have the ability to take it out of its mat, its substrate, its backing, and be able to take the actual photograph itself away from the material without destroying it, and have it, say, restored or moved into new material. When you dry mount, you permanently mount the photograph to a backing board. And in this case, it looks like 3/16 foam core. And I own a dry mount press, and I've played around with trying to remove photographs from dry mount, from the backing once they've been dry mounted. And there are some restorers out there that say it can be done. I've tried it, and usually you'll end up doing some damage to your photograph trying to get it unmounted. The amount of heat that it would take, you have to work quickly to try and peel it back up. And even if you do get the photograph from the backing board, there's still going to be residual glue left on the photograph. So your photograph has come into direct contact with glue, and chances are it's probably not archival. So this is definitely the wrong way to mount a priceless picture. Not to say that dry mount press, in fact that's a dry mount press sitting right there, is not a way to use it. There are definitely applications for using dry mount press, but for fine art, photography, for precious photographs, dry mounting is not the way to go. So what I'm going to do next is show you the proper way to mount your photograph. Here you can see the same print of Penny Park. The client was lucky enough to find the photographer and get another print made. A lot of times you don't get that lucky, so it's very important that you use the proper materials when you do frame your picture, because you know, trying to find a picture 20 years later, or the artist or the photographer or whatever, is pretty rare. So here we have Penny Park reprinted for our client, and what's nice is it has some borders around it, so I'm able to handle the photo without wearing gloves, but I do have gloves and I'll show you those in a minute. Here is the new mat and backing board, both cut to 11 by 14 with an 8 by 10 opening. And this is a Bainbridge, and I believe it's Spanish white. This is a 4-ply, 100% cotton rag, completely acid-free mat and backing board. And I went ahead and cut this earlier today, and over here is my mat cutter, and in another episode I'll show you how to properly cut mats. So let's go ahead and show you how to mount your photograph and get it framed back up. The first thing you're going to want to do is lay your mat and your backing board together, and you're going to want to put a piece of linen tape across here and hinge the mat to the backing board. I use Lineco linen hinge tape, and this is 1.25 inches, and this is a self-adhesive linen tape, and it's completely archival. But do note that this tape will leave residue. So if you put it on your photograph, put it on your mat, if you go to pull the tape off, it will leave residue. So the way I remove the linen tape from the backing, you can stand here and try and separate with your fingers. I'm not very good at that, so I take a really sharp X-Acto knife and just stick it in there, and you can pull the material away from the backing. And what you want to do is you want to butt these two together, and with the mat opening with the bevel side down against the table, and just center your tape over the two and press it down. What this will do is this will hinge the two together, and now you have a way of opening this window, and this will keep the window and the mat, this will keep the mat from moving around on the backing board, because the next thing you're going to want to do is position your print in the opening of the mat. And that is just as simple as dropping your mat down over it. And this is a good time if you do own gloves. These are cotton, 100% cotton, lint-free gloves. And I usually order them by the gross. Once they get a little soiled, because you'll use this also when you're cleaning the glass, so I usually just throw these away after every project that I do, I just throw them away. And it's just as simple as moving the photograph around in the opening until you get where you like it. And once you have it in place, then they do sell their photographic weights. And what they are is they're usually a leather or a soft material full of lead shot that you rest on your photograph, and that keeps it from moving. Here I'm just going to use a piece of a cut from a mat board in this way, and this will stop the photograph from moving around, because the next thing I'm going to want to do is put on, actually attach the photograph to the backing board. There's several ways you can attach a photograph to the backing board. You saw the first way, which is a dry mount press, a dry mount, And that's probably the least desirable way to mount your photograph to a backing board, unless the photograph has no type of sentimental value, historic value, price value at all. Good for probably commercial displays and stuff like that, but as far as your precious photographs, that's not the way to do it. The next way to do it is to use the Lineco hinging tape, and obviously not this thick. I think they sell a 3/4 or a 1 inch, and you attach 2 strips up here and you make a T, and this allows the photograph to hang in there. I'm not going to do that today, but I will show you how to do this in a different episode. The way I'm going to do it today is use the Lineco photo corners, and these are completely archival, safe, acid-free, clear photo corners. And what makes this nice is this allows you to completely remove the photograph from the backing without destroying the photograph. There's nothing that comes in contact with the photograph as far as adhesives or anything that is acidy. So the way you do this is you peel the clear corner from the backing there. I don't know if you can see this, but that's what the corners look like. And you grab your photograph and you gently lift up on each corner and you slide the photo corner on there. You don't want to push it all the way down hard to get the photograph. Just push it in and it'll bounce back, and then just drop the photograph down and just gently touch the photo corner to your backing board. So let's go ahead and finish doing this. Now that you got the photo corners down, just gently press to make sure that they've adhered to your backing. And also you want to check to make sure that the picture moves around in these photo corners. And this is very important because this will allow the picture to breathe. It'll allow it to expand and contract due to heat and humidity, more humidity than heat. If you live in a humid part of the world where you get between 60 and 80% relative humidity, these pictures are going to expand quite a bit just because the fibers in the paper are going to get absorbed with moisture, with water. So you definitely want the photograph to be able to float in here. This will keep the photograph from buckling. The other thing nice about these photo corners is for some reason if you want to change the mat out at some point, or let's say in 50 years, this photograph needs to be restored, it's just a matter of just lifting it out, and your precious photograph will not be destroyed in any way. Now that you have your photo mounted, let's close the mat and see if that's where we like it, and that looks good. Now at this point, if I were to sell this at an arts fair, then I would probably want to seal the mat to the backing board unless I'm going to frame this. Now, being as I'm going to frame this, I'm not going to put any tape on here, but if I were, I would be using my ATG gun, and this has acid-free archival tape in it. And what you want to do is you want to go around the border of your backing and then close your window, press it down, and that seals the mat to the backing board, and that'll keep this from separating. And then from here I just put it in a clear archival bag and sell it at a arts fair. But being as we're not going to do that, we're going to actually put it back in the frame, then I'm going to leave this as is. And let's go ahead and get to the next step of framing your photograph. The next thing we'll need to do is clean the glass. What you'll need is your lint-free gloves, heavy-duty professional glass cleaner, and a lint-free rag. Now the rag is a disposable lint-free rag that you can get at any automotive or framing framing supply store. The glass cleaner, this is actually a heavy-duty, ammonia-free, static-free glass cleaner. Sold again at any glass supply store or framing store. And this is actually really important. The last thing you're going to want to use is something like Windex, because Windex just doesn't cut through the grease like the professional stuff does. And Windex has ammonia in it, and ammonia will destroy your prints if there's any residue left over. You could have a terrible interaction and destroy the print. So make sure you buy heavy-duty professional glass cleaner. And obviously your gloves to keep the fingerprints off. Now, a lot of people, this is where they kind of make the big mistake, is they use Windex and they don't use lint-free rags, and what ends up happening is you'll get streaks and dust and lint on the glass that you can't seem to get off. So, first thing you want to do is spray your glass. And the other thing nice about this is it's foamy, and it sticks to the glass instead of just runs right off. So if your glass is really dirty, just let the glass cleaner sit on the glass for a minute or two, and then give it a good wiping. Make sure to get in all the corners and to go in both directions. And once you get your first side done, flip it over and repeat the process. Once you're done cleaning your glass off, what I like to do is use a static-free brush to swipe away any lint or dust that may be on the glass. Now, this surface is the only surface that I'm really concerned with, because this is the surface that's going to come in contact with the mat, and I want to make sure that there is no dust or lint or fingerprints on this side of the glass. So now what you want to do is grab your photograph, and at this point I also take my brush and brush away any lint or dust that may have fallen on there. This is also a good time to use a bulb blower, like what you'd use to blow dust off of your lenses or what have you, and give it a good blow. The reason why that I kind of like the bulb blower is sometimes with the brush you can actually brush dust into the corners of the mat, and after you get your picture framed, this dust will break loose and float around in there and touch on the print somewhere, and then you have to start all over again. So I'll take my bulb blower and give it a good blow, and same way with the glass. And let's go ahead and set your picture down and flip it over. At this point, you're almost ready to frame, but you want to make sure that you have no dust or hairs or anything in the print. This is really kind of your last chance to make sure that everything is clean in there, and then I'll give it one more good dusting and check the print one more time, looking for any dust or any hairs, and it looks good. So let's go ahead and frame the photo. Once you got the glass on your photo and you're happy with the way it looks and it's pretty much dust free, then you want to go ahead and frame it. This is just reverse of what we did earlier when we took it out. You just want to be careful not to tweak the frame or catch the glass on any of the corners, because you could chip the glass. And once you get it in, just replace the top here. And make sure to screw the tabs back down. I have forgotten to do this and have had a picture come out of its frame because of that. And the last thing you're going to want to do is replace the spring clamps that was originally holding the print in. Now, one thing with these spring clamps is these are meant to be pushed way up underneath the frame here, and I usually don't push them all the way in. I like to just push them in far enough to hold the print, but not so far that I can't ever get them back out. If you get them way up underneath there, they're almost impossible to get out without unattaching all the corners and pulling it apart, and that's a real pain because you can also damage the print, break the glass doing that. Now, the other thing is depending on the size of the print, you don't really need that many spring clamps or spring clips to hold the print into place. You don't want to go crazy with your spring clips because you want the material to be able to move around a little bit, to expand and contract. And if you have a bunch of spring clips in here, could run the chance of the material buckling, and you don't want to do that. So I use just enough to hold the print, mat board, and backing board in place. Now that you have your spring clips in place, it's time to seal the back of this frame. Unfortunately, it's very hard to seal the back of metal frames. With a wooden frame, you would run a piece of AGT tape all the way around and then adhere your dust cover to the back of that. With metal frames, especially like this Neilson frame, I don't have that option because there's just no place for me to adhere any tape. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of acid-free foam core to the exact size of the inside of this frame, and this will fit snugly down inside here. And what this will do is this seals off the elements from the back of the print. So this will help keep the dust, dust, ozone, and humidity from penetrating the back part of your photograph. So once that's in place, then your photo is done. Hopefully this was an informative video for you. You can certainly see what happens if you do not use archival type of materials, how it can completely destroy a photograph. And you'll never know it because it'll take anywhere from 15 to 20 years for it to show up. And at that point, it's probably too late. Once you start to see yellowing, the damage has already been done. And it would be very expensive to have a photograph taken and restored. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.